Hello, this is Indo World Cup Daily. I'm Sinead Kissane, this is Cian Tracey, and we're in tour where Ireland are based ahead of Saturday's World Cup opener. Well, Cian, you've been here now for a few days. It's a gorgeous city, and it feels like a far cry from that industrial estate setting where they were based in Bordeaux in '07.
Yeah, it absolutely is, Sinead. I mean, I have to admit, I didn't know a huge amount about tour before I got here. I've been here for the last couple of days. There's a real buzz, there's a real vibrancy to the place. I think a lot of it is created by the fact that there's a big university here, which means plenty of young people around. And yeah, Ireland have their own hotel kind of separate to the madness, the World Cup. The World Cup show isn't rolling around here as such because there's going to be no games, but you can see how much the people of tour have really welcomed Ireland, and you saw the welcome they got on Saturday at the open training session. So I think so far so good for them. It's been really, really good.
Yeah, tell us about that welcome they got on Saturday, because it was quite impressive, the amount that turned out to welcome them.
It really was. So, I mean, I arrived on Saturday morning just before the training session, made my way straight out to where they were training. So they were training at the local football ground, which isn't where Ireland are going to be based for the rest of it. This was just going to be used for this one open training session. They're actually training separately in a place that's supposed to be incredible. We're going to get a look at it this afternoon. It's supposed to be state-of-the-art. A lot of stuff specifically put in for the Irish team.
Yeah, it was purposely built for the Irish team, wasn't it?
And I believe that the idea is hopefully that the men's and women's sevens teams will use the same facilities for the Olympics next year. So there's been no complaints there. The gym, the pitch is top class, but unfortunately it wasn't quite the case when they arrived on Saturday. I believe some of the backroom staff had arrived on the Friday just to, check out the place. And it became clear very quickly that the pitch was not going to be playable. Now, we've all, like Saipan was already coming to people's minds, shoddy training conditions. I was happy to see Johnny Sexton didn't pack his bag and wasn't heading for home like Roy Keane all those years ago. But on a serious note, I was there. The pitch was really poor. You couldn't train in it. I even think Ireland were very wary about doing a warm-up on it. As it turned out, the tournament organisers released a statement saying that there was a fungus in the pitch, which, Sinead, I don't know about you, but I didn't have that on my bingo card when I arrived in France writing about funguses. But look, it was a minor hiccup. My understanding is that there were members of the Irish backroom team who might have preferred to have canned the open session and have just cracked on as normal. But Andy Farrell recognised the importance. There was 12,000 people snapped up tickets when they were available.
Yeah.
It was remarkable. I've tweeted out a couple of the videos. It was like that there was a match on. So Andy Farrell recognised, I think, the importance because of the welcome that Ireland have gotten here. So Ireland turned up. They did a few kind of warm-up drills, nothing too serious, because my God, if someone went over on an ankle on that pitch, it actually brought back memories of, and I know you were there as well, Fukuoka in 2019. You remember Joe Schmidt was going mad. 2
injuries the first day, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I can imagine if Joe Schmidt had been here, he might not have taken as much of sort of a lighthearted attitude as Andy Farrell did. So when they went ahead with it, it was really good. Like I said, the players were a bit disappointed that they couldn't get a full session and show the people of tour what they were about, but you had Andrew Porter was beating a drum with the band, and they were having great crack, Sinead. And at the team announcement last week in Dublin, it was all very kind of somber. I know the Cian Healy injury had kind of overshadowed it a little bit, but you were kind of hoping that things hadn't tensed up and tightened up close to the World Cup. But I have to say, having been there on Saturday, later that day they went to the Grand Theatre, it was called, an absolutely stunning place for the official welcome ceremony, and there was a giddiness. There was a giddiness in the camp, which I think is no harm. It's Andy Farrell we've spoken about it so much, wants to create this kind of light, fun environment and release the pressure when you can, and I think we certainly saw that. But come today, it's going to be back down to the business, and I'd say Andy Farrell will be happy that that kind of stuff is out of the way now.
Yeah, so top of the week now, start of the week. Just bring us up to date very briefly on the injuries, Cian, going into this week. What's the situation there?
Yeah, so Dave Kilcoyne and Jack Conan and Ronan Kelleher sound like they're on track to be available to play Romania this weekend in Bordeaux. Dan Sheehan, we're still told, is ahead of schedule. Unfortunately, we don't know what that schedule is, and I think they're being quite coy. I would be surprised if we saw Dan Sheehan until the South Africa game at best, which, look, if that's what happens, then that's a result, considering it looked like his World Cup was going to be over when he went off against England. So Johnny Sexton, it sounds like, is going to feature against Romania on Saturday. I think we'll get a better sense of it at the press conference later today when, you kind of see what players are up and things like that. But it's shaping up well. If you have 32 or 33 players in your squad available for the first game, I think that's no bad thing. And it'll be really important to get the likes of Kelleher, Kilcoyne, Conan, and especially Johnny Sexton some game time in a game that, let's face it, they should win comfortably enough.
Yeah, hopefully so. Well, we'll get all the latest from the Ireland squad at that press conference, as Cian mentioned, later today. We're also going to be kicking off our Left Wing podcast later today, so keep an eye out on your podcast feed for that later.